Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 19th of April, comes to you from London. And the dollar actually recovering a little bit the last couple of days, so just looking a little bit stronger, coming back above the clouds, so short-term bullish, and the euro looking strong still. So we're seeing this interesting situation where the euro is looking strong, the dollar is looking strong, the euro is looking stronger than the dollar. It's just rising slightly, and Japanese yen, we're seeing here dollar rising as well through the cloud. And sterling is really showing up. Sterling fell back the last couple of days, sort of shock fall yesterday. And basically, sterling is now coming back to this 140. So, having just made this resistance level and broken to making headlines of hitting the post Brexit highs, we're just coming back now, and we've got a downside target of 138, but not yet activated. So we're just seeing a little bit of sterling weakness, and that sterling weakness is showing through against the euro, against the Swiss franc, and also against the Australian dollar. It's just sitting there at 182. So it's interesting just to see it showing up against a basket of currencies. Bitcoin still holding the $8,000 level, just back above the cloud in the short term, but a shortage of upside targets makes it harder to call Bitcoin. And looking at the S&P 500 index, the US recovery continues. Not strong yesterday, just steadily holding the gains. Still have work to do on the short-term chart to turn bullish, and the Nasdaq was up 1/4%, and we're seeing here also the recovery is just a little bit flat yesterday, having had a strong rise the day before. But interestingly, the medium-term chart is back above the cloud. 60-minute chart just showing some resistance here, but we've got some good upside targets now, the Nasdaq, so it looks like the market is recovering. Dow Jones Index was down very slightly, obviously a much smaller number of constituents with 30 constituents, but still looking bullish above the cloud on the short term. And just to show that the recovery is fairly broad-based, we see the Russell 2000 powering ahead as well and back above the cloud. So US markets in recovery mode. Looking at the S&P future up very slightly this morning, and the Nasdaq E-mini also up. Too early to say yet whether we'll see the US market open higher, but the Nasdaq uh, E-mini is up 1/4%, so it's enough to say that we probably will open higher. The FTSE 100 had a strong day yesterday, up over 1% before the market opened this morning, but looking pretty good now above the cloud on the short term. The medium term chart still has more to do. That weaker sterling will help blue chip UK companies whose earnings are predominantly outside sterling. And looking at the 250, it's also looking quite strong. Just about to break through on the medium-term chart, and we've got some good upside targets. The DAX in Germany had a good day yesterday, and also just has a little bit more work to do to get bullish in the medium term. But the short-term chart is looking good, as is the CAC Caron. So we're seeing improvement there, nearly through the cloud on the CAC. The Japanese yen, the Japanese market is looking stronger. Hang Seng was up over 1% overnight, so that's looking strong as well. The Chinese market has been the main concern, and this was up just under 1%, so we are coming off the floor here, but still looking pretty bearish as stocks wander through. The Indian market, Sensex, also just continuing its uptrend. And the Australian market was up about 1/3% overnight, so still just continuing its trend as well. Brent crude up strongly again this morning, 73.85 at the moment, so we are seeing a real move there in Brent. And WTI also we're seeing moving higher, so crude oil looking pretty strong. US nat gas still sitting at around 274, so still has work to do. Gold had a bit of a flurry yesterday, back above 1350, putting us back into bullish territory on the short-term chart. The 1-minute chart on gold, if we take a quick look at that, the 1-minute chart, we can see here we've got targets of 1366, 1365. Does look like we've got a little bit further to run. The gold chart really is looking like it is just trying to break. We're seeing all these tests of resistance. Interestingly, we are really just nudging that resistance level. And 1365, 1366 will certainly put us close to a breakout. So getting ready for that. Silver looking strong as well. A really big jump yesterday, and that's putting us into bullish territory for the first time for a little while on the medium-term chart. The long-term chart for silver still has some work to do. US 10-year yields ticked up to 2.787%. It's the highest level we've seen in several weeks, so looking pretty strong here. We've got targets to 290, 299. This 3% level looks really quite likely on the yield. Um, US tech stocks did fall back a little bit yesterday. The majors, we saw Apple just down slightly, but still looking bullish on all three time frames now. Amazon also fell back about was actually up yesterday about 1.5%. Sorry, so Amazon looking quite strong. Alphabet, which is Google, of course, also just continuing its recovery, although it was down very slightly. Facebook did fall back yesterday, having had a pretty good run the last few weeks, but still looking bullish short term. And Microsoft, the one stock that really has held out through all of this sell-off in the market, and remains bullish on all three time frames. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.